Hello, everybody. This is Mr. Mouseand. Hope everybody's doing well. I hope you are kind of um, not overstressing over the work that has been given to you. I do miss you all very, very much still. It's just, yeah, it's really not the same. It's been too quiet, way too quiet. Uh, I miss the games that we play in music class. I miss interacting with you all face to face. I miss the laughs. I miss just the times. Um, oh, I forgot to mention last week. I'm very proud of everybody and what you guys accomplished during the concert. You just made me so proud. I had tears in my eyes because I just you pulled together just an amazing concert. I know how hard you worked. Some of you brought the music home at times. Some of you came in for extra help, and I'm just so incredibly proud of you all. So thank you for all your hard work. All right, now we're on to our next topic. Welcome to Asia, a look at the music traditions of Asia. So here we go. But before we get to the actual part of Asia, there is something I need to teach you, and that is chords. Now, chords are kind of, they're not a tricky part of this, but they are pretty essential. And harmony, which we've already talked about. All right, so let's get to that. What are chords? Chords are notes that are placed above or below certain notes. Okay? They are, in order to have a chord, you have to have two or more notes stacked above the original pitches. Here's an example of a chord. You have the original note, so let's say you have middle C here. Then you have another note above it, E, and then you have G. Okay? So the original note C, the note E, and the note G create a chord. Right? You have to have three notes total in order to make a chord. Three notes together. When you play or sing the three notes at the same time, that's a chord. This chord in particular is called a C major chord. All right. So remember we talked about intervals? Well, these intervals are, a chord is made up of a root, a third, and a fifth. And for those of you who are probably thinking to yourself, what in the world are intervals? Well, for those of you who might have forgotten, the intervals are the distance between two notes, right? The intervals are the distance between two notes. They are the distance between, let me choose to a different pen for a second, hold on. They are the distance from this first note to the last note, and you have to count everything in between. So 1, 2, 3. First, second, and third. Why? Because if you just counted these two notes, 1, 2, well, that really doesn't show you the exact distance, right? Nah. And plus, A to C, you're kind of leaving out the guy that's in between there. That's not really fair. He wants to be included too. I would think he want to. So, again, going back, chords include the root, the third, and the fifth. C to E is a third, and C to G is a fifth. All right. Now that we got that out of the way, if you have, thinking for a second, slowly thinking, if you have a C at the bottom, you stack E and G above it, and it makes a C major chord. What if you did something like this? F is at the bottom, A is at the top, well no, A is in the middle, sorry, and C is at the top. That would be an F major chord, right? How about this one? If you have G at the bottom, this middle one is B, this top one is D, you would have a G major chord, right? Easy enough. And then what about here? If you have a D at the bottom, I don't think I have to draw the rest, but if you wanted to, an F at the bottom, sorry, F in the middle, I don't know where my brain is today. An A at the top, this would be a D, or a D, we would actually call this a D minor chord, but for today, we're going to call it a D chord. Correct? Correct, Mr. Malsan, you're all saying from your computers. All right, chords are never, well, they're never replacing the melody. They're always in addition to the melody. Chords by themselves, they're kind of awkward. So if you want to at home, we won't right now, you could listen to the song You Raise Me Up by, it's by Josh Groban. You raise me up so I could stand on mountains. You raise me up. And those chords there that you see right here, they could be stacked kind of further apart like this, or kind of scrunched together like this. But either way, they still have the root, the third, and the fifth. All right, so now we get to the culture that is similar to ours. Drum roll, please. The music of Asia. So, some basics you probably already know. Typo there. It is the biggest continent in the entire world, musically. It's made up of, well, made up of 50 different countries. It has Afghanistan, Armenia, Cambodia, China, Cyprus, India, Indonesia, Iran, Iraq, Israel, Japan, Jordan, North and South Korea, Turkey, and a whole bunch of more that I didn't want to list because there's just too many to list on this one page. Whew. Depending on what country you discuss, the musical traditions are a little bit different, but they have a lot of similarities to what we listen to in America and what we listened to in Ireland last week, to which you probably say, Ella. But that's okay. We'll get to that. So we're going to take a trip on a flying burrito. Why I choose a flying burrito? I don't know. But I just like flying burritos. Actually, you know what? I'm kind of getting hungry at this point. Is it lunchtime yet? No. Nope, too early for lunch. All right, so let's go to Southeast and Eastern Asia. In other words, Japan and China. The concept of music in East Asia is a bit different than what you might expect here. But this is the important thing. Just because something doesn't sound right to our ears doesn't mean it's incorrect. Okay? That's the most important thing to remember when listening to music. Okay? So, let's take a look at this example in the Middle East. Sorry about that. So notice how they're playing their instruments. Notice the smooth way they kind of glide across their instruments. Listen to the different use of chords. The use of expression. You could describe this music as peaceful. You could describe the music as maybe fast. You could describe it as slow. You could describe it as a variety of ways. Think about it. There's a bunch of different ways you could describe that piece of music right there. Okay? All right. Let's go back. So let's go to Eastern Asia and the musical traits. Well, actually, you know what? Let's skip that one for right now. East Asia musical traits. No, let's go to this one for right now. South and Southeastern Asia music. All right. So let's compare and contrast some of these different musical traits across Eastern Asia. So let's take a look at India. So one of the main instruments you'll hear in the music of India is the use of percussion and a lot of drums. You'll also hear the use of flutes. As you're listening to this, think of ways you might be able to describe it. And yes, I'm giving you kind of hints as to what you might have to do tonight for your homework. So, think of ways, again, how would you describe that particular type of music right there? Let's take a look at Indonesia. Ah, you could easily say that there is a huge difference between the Indonesian music and that of the Indian music, right? Or the music of India. Sorry, the music of India. Now you can tell that some of the music's a little bit, the tempo, I mean, changes quite a bit, doesn't it? Huh. The Indonesian music is noticeably different, but in kind of a cool way. Huh. And let's take one final look, and then we will conclude the second half of the Music of Asia next week. Whoop. I guess not. I guess we won't look at the music of South Korea. We will go to Cambodia. Well, not that example either. Huh. Well, I'm surprised. Um, well, so we took a look at South and Southeastern Asia. We got to take a look at Eastern Asia. Actually, no, we didn't. Let's go back to East Asia. Okay, take a listen to East Asia for me. If my computer will let me open the link. Now, try and compare this with what you heard earlier. How would you describe the music of how would you describe this song as compared to the music of Indonesia, or the example we heard from Indonesia? Well, I could say one thing. The overall use of dynamics is quite different. It changes. So it goes from loud to soft, soft to loud. So think about that. All right. So that's the first half of our discussion on the music of Asia. We will finish this up sometime next week. Your assignment for this week will be a choice between two things. You will either get to talk about, one of your assignments will be on chords. Okay, so you can choose from either an assignment on chords, or you can choose an assignment on the music of Asia, or in which you'll be asked to kind of listen to one of the examples a little bit more and kind of describe the song a little bit more to me. So that'll be one of your choices. Okay? So I'm interested to see what you can come up with. All right. Happy listening and happy working, and I look forward to seeing your responses. Take care.